Okay, so hello everybody. Hope we're doing well. We're continuing here in Perek Dalid, Chelek Dalid, Perek Dalid of Derech Hashem, talking about the inyan of Kriyat Shema and how the whole idea of Kriyat Shema is so central. The whole concept of Yichud and accepting Yichud. So we're going to continue with that. I just want to first kind of take stock of where we are in the perek. So Chelek Dalid in the Chelek Dalid again is the Chelek of our avoda. It's taking all of the ideas that were in the earlier prakim, all of the ideas of what we're here for, and applying them to what we do. And the Ramchal broke it up into the first Talmud learning. That was like the first couple of sections of the importance of learning Torah and how learning is mashlim the world and the role that learning plays in the hashlama of the world. And then he moved into the rest of the chelek, which is the chelek of the avoda hamaisi, the actions that we do. And the actions, he said, he's going to break up also between those actions that are daily and those actions that happen, monthly and or not by Shabbos and the Chagim and annually. And within those daily mitzvos, he's starting with the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema. And he told us that Kriyat Shema, what the very importance and centrality of that pasuk is of Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, is this idea of recognizing the yichud of Hashem, accepting the yichud of Hashem, being mekabel ol malchus shemayim, which in essence is the concept of recognizing the yichud and recognizing that everything is about yichud, and that's all that matters, and that's the central theme of everything, and everything that Hashem is doing to me is playing a part in that, and it's all gamzu l'tova, all of that is a part of it, and part of Ol Malchus Shemayim. And now we're going to be moving to the pasuk of Baruch Shem for Malchus Olam Va'ed that we say after we say Shema, and is going to explain what the importance of that is, and also the concept of Mesiras Nefesh. Right? He said that the idea of being willing to be Moser Nefesh during Shema, and how that's the ultimate expression of Yichud, and the fact that a person is willing to give up Olam Hazeh and have say, I see that all of Olam Hazeh is only part of the picture, and the full picture is together with Hashem and Olam Haba and the spiritual world. That is the essence of Yichud Hashem. So a person willing to give up their life to do that is the ultimate expression of Yichud, and that's why dying Al Kiddush Hashem is such a big deal. And like we've mentioned many times in the past, Moshe David Bali writes explicitly, it's not just dying Al Kiddush Hashem, but really anytime a person is Moser Nefesh, anytime a person puts themselves through difficulty to be Mekayim the Torah, to be Mekayim mitzvos, so that itself is Mesiras Nefesh. That itself is declaring Yichud. Why else would I make myself suffer? Why else would I go hungry instead of eating just what I want to eat? I'm doing that because I know that there is a purpose to it. There's a reason for me to not eat that food, and that's part of being mashlim the world. So that's also a big part of it. Okay, so now let's see how the pasuk continues. The mitzvah continues with Baruch Shem. So we're on Os Zayin now. Again, Chelek Dalid, Perek Dalid, Os Zayin. Section 4, chapter 4, letter 7, number 7. Okay, Inyan Baruch Shem. So it's for Amnon. Latikun Hagadol Hazeh, to this huge tikkun that happens of the yichud and the Mirza Shem, what will be that revelation of that yichud, Yischaber tikkun acher. So there's another tikkun that happens, another hashlama that I do with this avoda, this daily avoda of Shema, v'hu hanichlal b'shevach she'omer ma'achareze dahainu Baruch Shem kvod malchus olam va'ed, and this other inyan of what our avoda of Shema does every day is expressed by the fact that we say this pasuk when we say the pasuk of Baruch Shem after that. Okay, so it's going to explain what this is. V'zeh ki hinei kvar be'arnu sheklal kol hashpa'osav yisbarach v'arosav him inyanim nimshachim b'mesibos shonos. So we've learned earlier in the Sefer that all shefa that comes from Hashem, all the ha'aros that come from Hashem, come down into the world, and they come through many different ways, many different pathways, there's many different I don't know, let's see how he says drachim, many different ways in which the shefa gilgulim, different things that happen that bring the shefa down. But at the root of it all, at the source of it all is Hashem. At the source of it all is that ultimate yichud and that absolute oneness. Right. However, it comes down to the world through a whole process. So what happens to us here, what physically takes place in the world, is based on all of these pathways, all of this the shefa making its way down to the world, making its way down to Olam Hazeh. That's what runs the world. What makes things happen over here in the world is the end result. This is the lowest level, the end result of a long chain of hashpa, of shefa coming down and it being filtered and shunted and all sorts of things based on our mitzvos, based on our averos, right? But at the end of the root is Olam Hazeh, and what happens over here, right? What that shefa that's coming down is what makes things happen over here, right? The most simplistic way, just the rain. Right, that Hashem sends the shefa that causes rain to happen. We've had rain and snow this week here in Eretz Yisrael. It's been like an unbelievable weather from one day to the next. Within 24 hours, it was like almost 70 degrees outside and sunny. We actually took the seminary to Eilat this week and the Dead Sea, and then mamash within 24 hours it was snowing. And in Yerushalayim there was snow and everything. It was a big exciting day, right? So we understand that a shefa of rain that comes from Shemayim, whatever that means, and that expresses itself over here in the physical gashmius geshem, the physical rain that shows up. And after all is said and done, Hashem is bringing everything to its hashlama. All of these mesiboseim, all these different things that are happening, and all the different ways that things are happening, and all the different events that are running throughout Olam Hazeh, Hashem is bringing all of that to a hashlama, is making it all build up towards the tikkun ha'amiti. Ki ulam gazra chachma elyona shelo yimashech v'lo yagia ha'ishtayim lebruim ela al yidei kol ha'masibos eila v'achar kol giguleim, right? Because this is part of the incredible plan, the chachma amuka of Hashem, that we're all a part of this gigantic mission to be mashlim the world and bring it all to its perfection. And every one of us has our role to play, and this is how Hashem set this whole system up. Gozra Chachmel Yona, that the system is going to be made up of a seemingly infinite number of parts, right? Every single part of every mitzvah of every Jew is a necessary component to be mashlim this whole structure, right? It's but that's how Hashem wants it to be, and that we're all playing a role. However, it's all coming to a hashlama. It's all playing a role and leading to completion. V'hine behiyosa pu'ula v'hashlite liyichud nisle hakol bo v'nodaus kol ha'hashpaos she'enan ela anfei hayichud v'aderech lagia abruim elav. So we, however, after all of this is said and done, right, we understand that the root of all of these hashpaos, the place where all of this shefa is coming from, the real source of everything is a source of absolute shleimus and oneness, and everything is dependent on that place. V'hine beyos hakavana b'pasuk rishon litlos hakol beyichod k'mo shekasavnu nimtzu kol hashpos nitlos bezeh v'kol shove le'inyan hashlamos amiti shezacharnu. Right? If a person, or let's say, if mankind would really be able to accept yichud upon himself or upon ourself in full, right? Let's make it simple, right? Like by Adam Harishon, like we said, the first chelek were explained, how the world happened, and that Adam Harishon, the whole system was really just set up initially, so to speak, for him, right? The world was made not perfect, right? There was an imperfection in the world left over for Adam Arishon with his Bechira to choose to be Mashlim. And once he would be Mashlim that, he would get the schus and the schar and all of that lenetzach, right? That would have, and if he would have seen through that nisayon, and the way the Ramchal explained it is that nisayon was a challenge to yichud. He quotes the Maimer Chazal that Adam Arishon kofer haya, that he the fact that he ate from the Eitz Hadas, so in that there was a certain kfira in the yichud of Hashem. The way the Ramchal explains it, that the Nachash convinced him and said, what do you mean? If Hashem was perfect and Hashem was all good, he would let you eat from the Eitz Hadas, right? Why isn't he letting you eat from the tree? Obviously Hashem is not good. And in that one nisayon, was all the nisyonos of mankind, right? But really, all Adam Arishon, he didn't have to really do anything, right? He had to not do something. He had to not eat from the Eitz Hadas. All he had to do was really accept yichud, right? He had to just say, no, I'm not going to listen to the Nachash. And you're right, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why Hashem would forbid me from eating from this fruit. It looks so good. It looks like it would be the right thing for me. It makes no sense to me why Hashem said not to. And even so, I'm not going to eat it because Hashem told me not to. That would be accepting Hashem's yichud. So that would have been the hashlama of everything. And with that one, thought, with that one kavana, with that one kabbalah on himself of Adam Arishon being mekabel on himself yichud, so the whole world would have been mishtalem, right? That would have been the shlemus of everything. So that's what the Ramchal is saying over here, that if and when we would really declare yichud and really mean it, and it would really happen, so then everything would be nishtalem. That would be the shleimus of everything. That would immediately bring the hashlama of the whole universe, of the whole bria, because that's the whole point of the bria, is for us to see through it and see that yichud, right? However, that doesn't happen. We try, we do it in our kavana. We try, each of us as an individual, to play our part in accepting that yichud upon ourselves, and in so doing, each one of us are being mashlim the world in the way that we are capable. However, there's a lot more that needs to be done. So in actuality, this is happening now only in kavana and not bepoel, right? Bekavana, we're accepting on ourselves the yichud, right? But bepoel, the yichud is not happening over here in the world. It's not being mashlim the world the way that it technically could, right? Even after we say Shema, to us, I mean, the world doesn't look different afterwards. It doesn't come to a hashlama just because so again, really, it is our saying Shema is bringing the world closer to the hashlama. However, but poel, it's not yet happening over here. However, if it would be, so let's just read this last line again. That's what he's describing over here. Like, if we would really, if yichud was really happening here on the highest scale, right? So nimtzu kol hine beyos kavana b'pasuk rishon litlos akol beyichud k'moshe kasavdu. So since the kavana of the first pasuk is for a person to say everything is Hashem, it's all min Hashemayim, it's all God. I don't, even though things I don't understand, it doesn't matter. I'm seeing through it. quiet, just like the Nachash with Adam Arishon. I'm not listening, and it's just Hashem, and there's only Hashem, and there's nothing else other than Hashem. Nimtzu kol hashpos nitlos b'zeh. So, all the Shefa is in that one source, because again, the Shefa has to go through all of these pathways and all of these drachim and all of these things, because we're disconnected from the yichud, we're disconnected from the source. But if we would be plugged into the source of yichud, if we would be truly in a state of accepting of yichud, so then we'd be in a place where all of the shefa begins, and that would be the whole world becoming shalem. Well, like you mentioned in the beginning of this section, talking about Shema, and like we've learned in Ramchal say from Maimer HaChachma about the Tfilos and Rosh Hashanah, that this is really what all the Rosh Hashanah Tfilos are about, our accepting and being makabel yichud shamayim, and that bringing the malchus of Hashem into the world in a real way, and the tikkun that will come from that. Okay, so now he's back to here. So he's saying when we say Shema every day, so we are in kavana, at least, right? We are declaring Hashem's yichud. We are creating a situation, creating. I'm not sure how to say what I was picturing in my head, but by our conceptualizing yichud and our accepting upon ourselves that concept of yichud, so we're bringing a certain hashlama into the world. V'hine nolad mizeh bebruim hu, right? In the creations, if there would be the full gilui of yichud, shiyasha shmo aleim, that Hashem's name would, so to speak, rest upon us. Now, the concept of Hashem's name, right, is really the concept of the Shechina, right? What's the Shechina, as opposed to any other, reference to Hashem? So the Shechina is the word we use when we're talking about Hashem's manifestation in Olam Hazeh, right? It's sort of like the lowest level of Hashem, so to speak, is the Shechina, right? The part of Hashem that's almost tangible in Olam Hazeh, right? That you have 10 men get together, so the Shechina is there now. You have a minion that there's a part again of Hashem. You can't say these words, right? But these are what we have to say, right? The concept of the Shechina being in the Beis Hamikdash and the Shechina being connected to every Jew. So that's sort of like the lowest level that we can connect to Hashem on, right? That's the concept of the Shechina or Hashem's name, right? The concept of the shame of Hashem. The name of Hashem is sort of like a synonym for the concept of the Shechina. So just to understand what that means. So what happens in the Beruim, what happens in us when Yichud happens in the world is Shiyasha Shmo Aleim, that the Shechina comes into us, right? And what does that mean when the Shechina is here? That means that things are going to be good and positive, and that we're going to feel Hashem with us because Hashem is with us, so to speak. Obviously, there's that aspect of Hashem that's with us all the time, irrespective of our actions and irrespective of what we do and don't do. However, the Shechina, that is affected by our actions. That's when we say a bracha or we daven, right? The Shechina is the part that's over here. I think we've discussed this here in the past. So Sheyash Shmo Aleim v'tizdabik bam kedushaso, and the kedusha is like the shefa of Hashem, the or of Hashem that would be coming in, right? So if we're in a situation of a Kabbalah of Yichud, if we're in a situation of recognizing and existing in a state of Yichud, so then we'll be in a place where we'll be together with the Shechina, we'll be together with that shefa from Hashem, the hashpos of Hashem, and the histabgus gadol, the yishlok bam v'yamshichem acharav tamid, and that's a tremendous state of oneness and closeness and clinging to Hashem. V'yimatzu kulam nitzlimbo mishtalmim b'shleimuso, and everybody's like dependent on Hashem and being shalem through Hashem's shlemos. This is obviously not talking more in a spiritual level. However, during Bayis Rishon, during the times of Shlomo Melech, it was like this. Even in Olam Hazeh, it was almost like Gan Eden. There was a tremendous physical connection, so to speak, between Klal Yisrael and Hashem, and because the Shechina was so present over here in the world. Ultimately, we're going to reach this at the end of everything, at the end of all of the paths that Hashem has, again, that Chachma Elyona that we're all playing a part in. At the end of it all, we're going to reach here. So that will be the ultimate ratzon of Hashem being fulfilled, because this is what Hashem wants. Hashem wants for us to come back to Him in that oneness and to be together with us forever. That's the point of everything. That's the point why He made us to begin with. So when we're going to reach this stage, all of these tikkunim are happening, and this is what Hashem's been waiting for, so to speak. Again, we can't really say those words, right? But this is what Hashem's desire has been all along. You see that Hashem's desire now is happening in the world. Ukvodo mizgadel, and Hashem's kavod is elevated. And again, a kavod is like the recognition of Hashem's Shechina being over here in the world, right? The idea that when what's happening down in the world is what Hashem wants to happen, so that's increases the kavod Hashem. It increases the amount that people recognize the godless of Hashem. Right? Instead of having that question of tzaddik v'ralo, and everyone being bothered by that question and being challenged by it and challenging Hashem because of the question of tzaddik v'ralo. So and that, so to speak, detracts from the kavod of Hashem. Right? We lose respect. So again, hard words to use, but we lose respect for Hashem, or the kavod of Hashem is lessened by the fact that things don't go the way that it should, that we have the people who could ask, hey, if Hashem's all good and all powerful, so how come this is not happening, right? However, when everything is going right, when good things are happening to good people and everything makes sense, so then that's Hashem is once again respected, right? The kavod of Hashem is restored when what He wants to be happening is happening over here, right? So all of these ideas are intertwined. Kvodo mizgadel, so his kavod is increased. V'zeh ikar ha'atara shu misater bebruav, and that's like the main crown with which He is to be crowned by His creations, meaning the crown of kavod, the crown of recognition of Hashem. Wow, the master, the incredible one, the one who runs everything, and right, that's how we crown Him. And again, that's on Rosh Hashanah, the whole Malchios is all what this concept is about. Kaviyachol mizgadol bam, and Kaviyachol, because again, we're talking about the part of Hashem that is affected, so to speak, by us. And even to say the part of Hashem is not accurate, of course, right? But but Hashem is greatness in the world is increased when all of this happens, because of the shleimus. Now Hashem is running the world the way He wants to, giving us all the good and all the shefa happening the way it is, and then Hashem's kavod itself is increased, and the Shechina is increased in the world. Okay, so that's all what we want to happen, what we're davening for, what we're crying for on Rosh Hashanah. So now, right now, where we are, so it's not like this over here in Olam Hazeh. In Olam HaRuchani, is going to explain to us right now in like the higher dimensions where Malachim and other spiritual entities are. So it is shalem over there. It's not broken like it is down here. Those areas work. Kihine heim tohorim kadoshim, right? Those levels, those spiritual levels, those are totally pure. Ushmo yisbarach shora aleim u'miskasher bam his kashrus gadol, right? We know this idea like Malachim can't not see Hashem. They can't possibly deny Hashem. They can't forget Hashem for a second, right? So in that place, Hashem's name is shora all the time. In the place of the Malachim, all the time, Hashem is absolutely, completely, and totally recognized. There's no question of yichud up in Shemayim, because there's nothing challenging yichud up in Shemayim, and Hashem is constantly recognized by and therefore mitkasher with all of the spiritual entities. V'hem nimshachim mamish acharav b'chol esu b'chol shah ukvodom mizgadol lohem, right? And they are constantly pulled after Hashem because, like he said, that's what happens when there's a revelation of yichud and there's a tremendous connection to Hashem, and you're pulled after Hashem. So the malachim are in that state all of the time. Ukvodom is gadol bahem, and Hashem's kavod is tremendous by the malachim because they see Hashem clearly, right, as clear as they, as a nivra can. But they see Hashem with crystal clarity. They have no complaints. They have no tainas. There's no, tzaddik v'ralo. Okay, we have certain midrashim here and there about the malachim. Okay, we'll save that for another time. But the idea of the malachim have absolute clarity, and that's why they praise Hashem and sing to Hashem in such a confident way, because they have clarity on this issue. They're not challenged by yichud. However, down here, it's not like that. It's not complete. Because we are not complete. Right, and we need to still be in this broken place. There's ra that's mixed in with us. Lo hitaru mimenu. We're not cleansed from it. Ukaviyachol ein kvodo yisbarach miskadol bahem karoi. And therefore, Hashem's kavod, Hashem's respect, is not enough with us. Right, we don't see Hashem for who he really is and what he really is, because we are living in a place where there's ra, it's broken down here. It's not clear like it is to the malachim. So we can conceptualize these ideas, but we can't actually see them. We can't actually declare. We can declare it, but we declare it in emuna. We don't see it. We don't experience Hashem's yichud in that way. So the malachim, they say this shevach, and they say it out loud. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuso Leolam Va'ed. Right? That's this praise of Hashem. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuso Leolam Va'ed. It's bringing in all of these concepts. The shame of Hashem, like the Shechina, the way Hashem appears in this world should have kavod, it should be respected, meaning the world should be running the way Hashem wants the world to be run, so that Hashem's Shechina is respected and his Malchus is accepted la'olam va'ed, forever, right? So Malachim can say that, and they say it out loud because that's what their experience is. They see this, they live this. They can't say this with such confidence. They can't proclaim this out loud because we don't deserve that level of shleimus yet. We don't deserve to have that tikkun yet because we're not there. V'lo Hashem shora aleim karoi, v'lo hakavod mizgadol ba'am, right? Like he said earlier, we're still mixed in with the ra, so we don't have that full expression of the Shechina, and Hashem's kavod is not, kaviyachol is not fully intact over here. Right? There's the famous medrash that Yaakov Avinu, when he was about to die, he was zocha to this in Olam Hazeh. When he was standing there with all of his sons around him, his life was in a shleimus at that point, and he was able to say this. Right? Yaakov Avinu reached a certain state of shleimus in Olam Hazeh right before he died, right? A mamish hashlama that he was able to see after all of those years, after decades of losing Yosef and suffering and all the terrible things that Yaakov went through with Dinah, with Lavan, with Esav, with everything. After all of that, he saw it was all Latov, it was all needed to be, it was all the part of Hashem's plan. And Yaakov Avinu had his own sort of the whole world wrapped up in him, in his lifetime. He went through the whole Ra of the world and struggled through it and pulled through and reached that shleimus at the end. So he connected to this before he died. And all of them said around him, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Right? This was like unbelievable for Yaakov Avinu to see, on his deathbed, to see all of his sons with Yosef there, with Shalom between all of them, and all of them declaring Hashem's Yichud, all of them from, none of them off the derech, even after everything everybody went through, Yehuda, Ruvain, and everything, all of these things. And then that's why Yaakov Avinu answered, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusa Liolam Vayed. That was mamish like Yaakov Avinu reaching a state of seeing the Yichud Hashem in Olam Hazeh, experiencing it like a malach, right, and able to say these words out loud. Baruch Shem Kvod Malchus Olam V'ed V'nimtza Shemitzidenu Ein Anu Ru'iyim Le'inyan Hazeh, right? But we're not really roi to say this. We don't have a right to proclaim this out loud. Elak Tzas Mimenu Nitan Lanu Mitzido Shal Yaakov Avinu. So some of us, or it's interesting what he's saying. I'm not sure exactly what this means. Some of us have, can do this because of Yaakov Avinu, or maybe not some of us, but some of this statement, right? Some of the hashpa of saying Baruch Shem Kol Malchuso, we were allowed to say because of Yaakov Avinu. The Alkein Anu Omramoso, and therefore we say it Ach B'Chashai, but we say it quietly. Right after we proclaim the Yichud of Hashem out loud, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So really, we don't have a right to say Baruch Shem. Really, the Malachim are the ones who should be responding Baruch Shem, because to them this is something they see with absolute clarity. However, because Yaakov Avinu was able to proclaim this out loud, he was able to live this and experience it, and we have his Mesorah, so we're able to say it also, but we can't proclaim it. We can't say it out loud. We have to say it quietly, b'chashai. Zulasi b'yom kippurim, except when it comes to Yom Kippur, shem nis'alim bo Yisrael l'madregas hamalachim, right? Because on Yom Kippur we go up to the level of a malach. On Yom Kippur we're able to proclaim this, which we'll see then. Okay, like Eretz Hashem we'll see in its place. Okay, with this he finishes the first pasuk of Shema Yisrael and Baruch Shem. And we see again the concept being that all of these proclamations and all of these ideas that we're supposed to be thinking about, the point of all of them. So what the role that they're playing is that these are the necessary avodas on a daily basis to bring the shefa into the world that the world needs. So this whole idea of every Jew every single day or twice a day saying Shema, proclaiming Hashem's Yichud, accepting on themselves Ol Malchus Shemayim, accepting on themselves being Moser Nefesh for Torah and for mitzvos, and recognizing all of this is what leads to the Hashlama of the world, which will lead to the ability for us to proclaim Baruch Shem Kvod Malchus Olam Va'ed. So in our doing all of what I just described, we are pulling in the daily shefa that Shema can pull into the world for us, right? And the more kavanah we have, the more we're able to focus on this, the more we're able to, actually think about the idea of, everything that's happening is all for the best. That's all right. These are all the ideas of Yichud Hashem. So the more we're bringing that idea of Hashlama into the world, the more we're bringing that shefa of Yichud, whatever I'm able to bring into the world, as opposed to just saying the words, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. It's doing something. It's but having kavanah and thinking about the concepts is the main part, right? The main idea over here is these ideas of Yichud and Mesiras Nefesh and how I relate to these things, not just the saying of the words. So that together, as our daily avodah, this is the first part of Shema, and then we'll see B'rez Hashem next week. We'll get into the hafta and the rest of Shema. We'll explain where that where it comes from and what it's for. And okay, we'll stop over here. Okay, have a great Shabbos, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi. Have a great
Oh wait,
Shabbos.
so wait, next week. I'm sorry. So let's just pause for a second because next week is Purim. So I'm not gonna do for Thursday night, Friday morning. But maybe earlier in the week next week, maybe like Tuesday night, I might do something on Purim. So I'll give you guys a heads up. But I'm not gonna have the regular share next week.
Okay.
Okay.